Hiya, and welcome to West Yorkshire in December, hence the Christmas decorations and the Christmas cake bush. I hope you recognised her. My name's Clare Shaw. I'm a professional writer. I work for an organisation called the Royal Literary Fund. The Royal Literary Fund has been working with USDO and other unions for the last couple of years to set up writing projects in workplaces across the UK, and since COVID, online as well. One of the reasons that we do that is because we believe that having a voice, being able to write things down, telling your own story, it changes you, and it can change the world as well. That is a really big claim, I'm aware, so I'll probably just crack on now and get you to do a bit of writing, and then you can see what I mean in practice. And what I want you to do with your writing is I want you to work from an approach called free writing. It's an approach that I really like because it gets everybody involved. And it's an approach that says, well, it's all in the name really, free writing. It says you're free, you don't need to worry about grammar, you don't need to worry about punctuation or structure or form or whether it's any good or whether it makes sense, whether it's silly or embarrassing. Basically, all of those things that might have stopped you from writing in the past. Spelling. We really, really don't care about spelling here. What I want you to do is to get your pen on the paper or your fingers on the keyboard and write. And you're going to do it right now. And you're going to do it just for, let's say, 1 minute. Everybody can write for 1 minute, I'm sure. You're just going to write for 1 minute. And you're going to write about... Oh, got to grab my paper there. You're going to write about what you can hear right here and now in the room, in the space where you are. Can you see me looking around madly? It's because I haven't got a pen. What kind of a writer am I? I want you to write down at the top of your page, I can hear. And then you're going to write down all the things that you can hear. Because I haven't got a pen, I'm going to use my own keyboard. And we are starting now. Okay, maybe just finish off the line that you're writing. And I hope that everybody who's doing this managed to get something written down. I did. I can hear the chair creaking, my own fingers typing. I can hear a plane in the sky outside. I can hear the wind, the traffic, cars passing. It's rush hour. I can hear the heating humming and the floorboards shifting and settling. And it's interesting for a moment just to think about the impact of that 1 minute. If you're not used to writing that way, you might have found it a bit stressful. Really hope that you didn't find it too stressful. For me, I found it quite relaxing because it invites me just to sit for a moment and actually notice things around me. And having gone for a room where I'd say the only thing I can hear is traffic, go, no, actually, there's hundreds of things that I can hear. So even within the space of 1 minute, writing has brought me into contact with the world. It's made me notice things that I wouldn't otherwise notice. And it means that whoever is listening to this now knows a little bit more about my world. Expressive writing or life writing, whatever you want to call this, is about challenging, I guess, challenging the belief that your life isn't extraordinary or important, because everybody's life is. And we know that because we love listening into each other. We love eavesdropping. People's lives are just generally quite fascinating. The point of life writing is also that it can bring about social change. So we're all here to think about the Union Learning Fund, and we're all here, sorry, have to have a cup of tea when I teach, it's just necessary. We're all here to think about the role that union learning has played in our lives, and what we can do to protect union learning from the threat that it's facing from the government. And we're aiming in lots of different ways, but through this video as well, to support people to write testimonies about union learning. So when we collect together a whole bunch of different stories about what union learning means in individual people's lives, it brings it alive. So it stops being a kind of general thing. It stops being something in the abstract and it becomes real. I want you to write something else now, and it's one more brief thing. So we're going to give another go at free writing. You're going to have another go at just writing for a minute, maybe a tiny bit longer, I'll see how I feel. And I want you to think of a learning experience that you've accessed through your union. You know, whether it's digital photography or crochet or, you know, maths level 1 or whatever it is, a learning experience you've accessed through the union. It might be a mental health awareness day in the canteen. If you've had loads, just use the first one that comes to mind. If you've not had any, then use this, because this is a union learning experience. Thing about learning is it's such an incredibly rich experience. It's rarely just about, you know, the lesson that you're doing or the course that you're doing. More often than not, it's about learning about yourself or the other people in the room. It's about learning about what you're capable of, what you're scared of, what your personality's like in a group, how motivated you can be. It might be about your colleagues, it might be about your teachers, it might be about wider context, it might be about, I don't know, the attitude of your company or what the union can do for you. We learn loads in every course or workshop, and it's not just about the material we're covering. So choose that one learning experience, and I want you to write at the top of it, what I learnt. Okay? Again, I keep looking for my pen. I'm more used to writing with a pen than on the keyboard, but we should just write in whatever way makes us comfortable. What I learnt. Okay. Watching the stopwatch, and you were about to write for another minute, and you're just going to write down a list of things that you learnt. So you're going to include your fellow learners, or your teacher, or the building, or the material, or what you learnt about yourself. Just let the words lead you where they want to go. I'm smiling because I really enjoyed writing that. Okay, I want you to finish off the line that you're writing. You had just a couple of seconds over a minute there. It's amazing how much you can actually get written in a minute, isn't it? I'm going through it to speak to you, just correcting some of my spelling, because I was being really good when I was writing there. I wasn't worrying about spelling or punctuation, but I'm going back through going, I can't read that. So I've corrected a couple of words. I learned how to ask for a beer. I learned about the Dockers. I learned about how everyone in South America makes things tiny in language. I learned that I like language more than I thought. I learned that I enjoy learning when it is a point. I learned about the decency of middle-aged men in Liverpool. I learned about mutual aid, how it stretches across the globe. I learned to say thank you. I might carry on with that piece. I wasn't expecting that. It's about going to Spanish class. And in my Spanish class, there were the Dockers. Don't know if anybody is of my age or older remembers the Dockers strike in the 90s. And they were all in the Spanish class as well because they wanted to be able to talk to Fidel Castro when they went out to meet him. So I think I'm going to carry on with that. And I think that's quite a nice story. Always be aware of that. I've set you a task to write about what you like. You might be like, actually, do you know what? I've discovered what I want to write and I'm going to go off task and write this piece instead. I'm going to ask you to write one more thing. And this is maybe the thing that you're going to submit to the union using the links alongside this little film. And that's going to act as the testimony that can be shared, the testimony that proves the value of union learning, that thing that we really need to save against the proposed cuts to the Union Learning Fund. One of the things about learning is that it does make you the central character in your own story, and that's an infinitely powerful thing. And one of the things that I find most fascinating about story, there's loads of things that are fascinating about story, but about the fact of story itself is, for as long as we've been telling stories from, God, I was going to say from the Bible onwards, but there'll be much older stories than that. They've followed the same structure. I couldn't believe this when I found it out. So we have a character, pardon my phone. We have a character. We have a character who exists somewhere, who is someone. They want to achieve something. They face an obstacle. They overcome that obstacle using a particular solution, sometimes a helper. And then, they learn or they gain or they lose something. That's your story. And if you look at any story, think of stories that you loved as a kid or the last film that you watched, it will follow that structure. All stories do. That's incredible, isn't it? So you're going to use that structure, maybe just jot it down: character, obstacle, solution, learning. And you know what? You, in this story, you're the character, you're the hero. Your aim is to learn. So I want you to write about yourselves, jot this down, because you're going to do this after I lead you in about 30 seconds. Write a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you? What are you? Set the context. When is the learning experience that you're about to write about? Is it now? Is it 10 years ago? Then give me a little bit of what you're aiming for in that learning experience. When you went along to your Spanish classes or your maths classes, IT classes, what did you want to achieve through that learning? Okay, then I want us to stir it up like they do in, Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or whatever story it is, and give us an obstacle. What obstacles did you face in achieving that aim? And then I want to know the bulk of the story. How did you overcome that obstacle? How did union learning help you? How did you go about finding it? How did you access it? What made you take that first step? Because the first step of walking into a classroom or logging into a classroom as we do now. It's a pretty scary one. It's a pretty big one. Tell me what made you take that step. Tell me what it was like. And then we're going to end it. So we've got character, aim, obstacle, solution. And the last thing that we want is the outcome and the learning. What was it like being part of that learning experience? What did it do for you? How did it make you feel? What did you learn? Okay, you might find that you write that all down in 5 minutes. Go with free writing. Don't worry about grammar and punctuation. They are not important. The most important thing is you having a voice, you giving your version of events, you being the hero of your story, and your story then making a difference. So when you've written it, send it off, or you may just want to stick with the writing that you've already done. You've already got 2 pieces of writing. You know, you've written about what you can hear. You might find that that's a beautiful piece of writing that you want to work up into a story or poem. And you've also got a piece of writing about what you learned in a union learning experience. That might be what you want to submit. Okay, I'm going to log off now. Someone is trying to get in the front door. Thank you so much for taking part. You've got all the links that you need. These are some of the kind of interesting things about working from home, aren't they? Thank you so much for listening. I hope that we meet again, even if it's virtually, maybe in real life. Remember that the RLF is here to support you with your writing skills. It's here to support you with light writing and expressive writing. You might want to check out with the ULR or with the Learning Gateway about some of the writing opportunities that are available through Unison, through USDOR, and through other unions. So thank you very, very much for being here. I'm Clare Shaw, signing out, West Yorkshire. Bye-bye.